you made a statement about wrestling has it right, jiu-jitsu has it wrong. Could you just give a little more context on that?
There's a chapter in the book. It's at the end of the book. It's called, you know, it's I can't remember the name of the chapter, but it's basically drawing a distinction between what should guide jiu-jitsu's evolution is simple and efficient, not sophisticated and complicated moves, or because I think people are starting to think jiu-jitsu is like an iPhone, right? That the new iPhone is better than the old one, right? And I hate using these words old and new because you get into this old school versus new school conversation, which is not the point.
Mm-hmm.
The point is you should measure things by how efficient they are, right? Not by how popular, how cool. If you look at like in the 80s, there are a lot of like taekwondo schools doing like those spinning kicks and they're beautiful. I think kata is beautiful to watch. I
Mm-hmm.
think spinning kicks are beautiful. I think Van Damme's moves are still badass to watch. But that shit doesn't work in a fight. Let's be honest. It's one
Mm-hmm.
in a million. And I think jiu-jitsu is kind of going that same direction, going back to that cyclical thing that we were talking about. And to me, it's about efficiency. And in my experience, simple, whether it's old or new, I don't care about. It's simple is normally correlated with efficiency. Like the analogy I use these days, I'm not a huge gun guy, but people who love guns love the AK-47 because it's so simple. An AK-47 is easy to fix. It's easy to trade, replace the parts, fires in the rain and the sand and the snow, doesn't jam. It's just a very efficient gun because it's simple. Its mechanics are simple, and I kind of look at jiu-jitsu like that. And you want a jiu-jitsu that's an AK-47 because there's less parts to break. And I think that was Carlson's vision. And that was always what I believed in as well. Jiu-jitsu should be um, the less add-ons, the better. If we need to add something, do it. But I don't think we have to. And I think as you move up the ranks, then it's fine if you have more add-ons because you have the experience to do it, you have the foundation to do it. But what we have is, white belts and blue belts trying to add all these gadgets to their jiu-jitsu, and they don't have the foundation. They're like missing out a lot of the core elements, like basic jiu-jitsu and I'm not talking about old school. I'm not talking about fundamentals. I'm talking about simple things like don't fall on your back if you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't like, and we're missing that because, man, I have my white belts and blue, but they're trying to do buggy chokes all the time. They're not even trying to shrimp. They're letting their opponent pass their guard, And I think to some extent, I think, the internet has played a role in this, Instagram, because what rises to the surface is what's cool, what's shiny,
Mm-hmm.
and people we have herd mentality. We all do. We like to say, though, I'm not a sheep. We're all sheep. We follow numbers because it's just easier. It's convenient to follow numbers. You don't have to think. You let someone else do the thinking for you. Because thinking is exhausting. It's time consuming. So it's easier to follow trends. So if you see someone liking a move a million times and you see this other move with 10 likes, it's easy to say, oh, this one clearly is better. It's been approved by a million people. Was that the case? Not necessarily, right? And I think that what's rising is the sophisticated for sophistication's sake, not necessarily efficient. As a result, we're distancing, not only distancing ourselves from the reality of combat, it's getting harder and harder for people to learn jiu-jitsu because they're overwhelmed with so much information. Now, going back to wrestling, I'm not a wrestler. I've never wrestled, but I've seen people train. I mean, there's like 4 things they practice, like 5. It's like boxers. It's the same as boxers. They have like 6 punches they practice over and over, and that's it. And Floyd Mayweather still works the same punches every day. He doesn't complain. You know, like jiu-jitsu has a lot more layers to it than
Of
boxing and
course.
wrestling. In my opinion, it's more complex. It's like it's got more dimensions. But I think that we swung so hard the other way because we're coming to associate, knowing the move with this is what good jiu-jitsu is. And yeah, I don't think that's good for the student. I think it's detrimental because he needs to actually get good at one of them or 2 of
Mm-hmm.
them, But as it's taught right now, there's not enough emphasis on anything for them to learn anything. They're just going through these moves and not really absorbing anything.
Yes, that makes complete sense to me. I think that I see so many people who will be a blue belt and not watch a move being taught because they know the move. And me as a black belt, I've done jiu-jitsu for 15 years, competed a bunch. I will learn a shrimp or a bridge and roll from a really high level guy and come away with a detail from it. And
Yeah.
I know how to shrimp. I know how to get out, but it is that level of arrogance maybe
Yeah.
of that.